welcome to Rev It Up Bowling. My name is Jayson Robarge, and today we're gonna be working with Cristian on a Junior Gold pattern. Cristian just went to Junior Gold. We're gonna be bowling on their 39-foot pattern, the short medium. What we're gonna be doing is working with Cristian on maybe some physical stuff, but also lane play, pre-tournament routine, some stuff like that to get him better prepared for future tournaments and future Junior Golds. And from the last 2 years, you have improved immensely. And you've been bowling for how long now?
Just 2 years.
Just 2 years, yeah. Basically, since I bought the pro shop, this kid's basically been in there almost every day. Loves the game, definitely wants to take it to a higher level, and today, that's what we're gonna do. Without further ado, let's get into it. That was, how many Junior Golds have you been to?
Just my first one.
That was your first one. Yeah, you mentioned you were nervous. I do want to work more on basically pre-tournament strategy to get you more comfortable. Now, when we set up for a tournament and we walk in, right, we're all nervous, and that's okay. I mentioned before building the strategy to help us get less nervous, to get a little more confidence in throwing our first shot. When we are practicing or going to a practice session or going to that tournament, right, we all have nerves, and yes, that first 1 or 2 shots may be more adrenaline than the other shots. There's certain things I like to do to help control that. The first one is gonna be pre-tournament strategy. Now, when you guys went to Junior Gold, you didn't know what the patterns were. Now, you knew that they were short, medium, medium long, and long, roughly. But we didn't know exactly what they were. We need a strategy. Now, the strategy that I employ and that we've talked about in our previous videos is play up the boards, use something slow and controllable, right? And then maybe more of a rolly type of hand position, more up the back of it, less rotation. Those 3 things is part of our strategy if we don't know what's going on. By doing this, we've already picked the ball, we've already picked the lane play, where we're gonna be throwing it, and how we're gonna be throwing it. By the time you step on the approach at that point, there's nothing else to think about except ball stick. That's it. Like, just hit our target. Now, that's a lot easier said than done. One thing I wanna teach you is, how was your heart rate during, especially early on? Like, do you feel like it was gas, like it was quite high?
It was really high.
It was pretty high.
First day, but then the next few days it
locked in. This can happen at any point. If it's our first tournament, we're going for 300, we're in the middle of a match. There's one thing I want to show you to help calm that down. And Randy Lightfoot from Lindenwood actually taught me this a decade ago, and I still use it today. Now, there's been different names for it. It's pretty simple, but it's called the 15-second breath. Basically, what I try to do to reduce my heart rate is 6 in, 3 pause, 6 seconds in, 3 seconds hold breath, 6 seconds out. By doing this over and over again, you're gonna be able to control your heart rate. Now, when you can control your heart rate, you're not gonna feel adrenaline as much, and you're gonna be able to stay locked in without just letting yourself just run up there and throw the ball. This is something that a lot of pros are very good at. Now, they all have their own different way of doing things. This is just the way I do it. Before I even step foot on that approach, when I'm sitting back here, when I'm trying to figure out my pre-shot or my pre-tournament routine, if I haven't bowled yet, that's what I'm gonna be doing a lot of, is that 15-second breath. Middle of matches, like that PBA tournament I've won, I probably did 500 15-second breaths throughout that day just to keep my heart rate down. It's very important. That's one thing to maybe employ to you is after you figure out your pre-shot or your pre-tournament routine, add some of those breaths to your pre-shot routine. Where you get up here, grab your towel, do whatever, we're gonna do a 15-second breath. We're gonna make sure we get that heart rate down. The reason I'm saying this is because it was one of your first big tournaments, right? You bowl local stuff, but you've never had 800 other people, and especially some of them are they're just good. They're just stupid good. That makes you even more, oh, how am I gonna keep up, gets in your head. These are some of the things that you can do to reduce that fact. One of the other things I wanted to add to that is pre-shot routine. Do you have a pre-shot routine? Like, do you do the same thing? Okay, as soon as I step foot to the approach, I'm gonna go through a routine and then get to the approach. Is there anything like that you do?
Oh, yeah, I got my chamois by my ball, and then I make sure my slide is perfect. Perfect
before
I get to the approach.
I want you to be very rigid on this. I want you to think about adding that breath before you step on the approach, and then when you do get here, pay attention to what you do pre-shot. The reason I say this is there's been so many times, especially when I'm doing very well, I try to do things the exact same. Now, I'm not like, okay, I'm gonna stand on my left foot, I'm gonna wipe with my right hand, I'm gonna make sure I sit on the 3rd chair to the right. Like, I'm not that obsessive with it. Some people are, but adding a pre-shot routine will definitely be able to get you locked in better mentally, where that way, again, when you step foot on the approach here, you don't have to think about anything else because you got your strategy, you went through your pre-shot routine. Anytime you're on the wood, it's execution. It's not thinking time. Vinyl, thinking time. right? That's one thing I just wanted to illustrate to you because you mentioned that. And that's one thing that I didn't learn really until I was like 18, 17, 18, 19, especially when I got to college, when you're bowling all those big tournaments. You got 1,000 people in the bowling alley. I just want to go over that just to show you guys how important not only what you guys do on the lane is, but more specifically and more importantly you do before you even step foot or pick up a bowling ball. We are on the 39-foot pattern. How'd you feel about that pattern at Junior Gold?
First off, it was my first day, so I was a little nervous, but during my practice day, I think I found it pretty good.
Found it pretty good? Okay. You bowled okay, score-wise?
Not tournament-wise, first day, of course. I think all 4, I was so nervous and I couldn't stay consistent.
Sure. Which is, I mean, just a learning process. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there, trust me. My first college tournament, I think I averaged like $1.45. Like, it was awful. The 39-foot pattern, now at Junior Gold, it sounds like urethane on the short and a short medium, but even the medium long, urethane was just the play.
Yeah.
More than likely, we're gonna be talking about urethane quite a bit. Now, if you guys watched the other videos, I talked about pre-tournament strategy, right? Now, you didn't know exactly the length, but you had an idea on what it was. I've been teaching this the same way. Up the board, slow ball speed, or sorry, slow transitional speed as far as your ball goes, a slow bowling ball, and up the back of it is definitely gonna be something that I think that we're gonna be able to work on with you to be able to, 1, not hook the ball so much, and 2, be able to play more up the boards, at least on fresher patterns, at least on harder patterns. That way you're not crossing as much of a left to right type of shape. To start out, I just want you to get lined up, throw whatever you want to throw, figure out where you want to go. Super close. Yeah, not bad, right?
Yeah.
Shot, pretty okay? You thought that was okay?
I think that was okay.
Yeah.
Maybe tone down the speed just.
Okay, you can already see an adjustment. Perfect. You know, you started roughly around second arrow. Now, you've already bowled on this pattern before. I have an idea, minus the fact it's in Alaska versus in Green Bay. That one looked really good. Yeah, I would say tone down the speed and see what it does.
Ooh, that was bad. I don't have a thumb.
That's okay, bad shot. Let's go ahead and try to repeat it, no big deal. And
I pulled it.
Yeah, all right, no big deal. On your first shot, which was the only good shot so far.
Yeah.
It looked really good. Now, like you said, it might have been light to the pocket.
Yeah.
Maybe your speed was high. One of the things that I want to help you with is playing up the boards better. Now, you did that there. On your first shot, you're up the boards pretty well. You did belly it to the right, but for the most part, it did go up the boards. Now, one thing I feel like, watching you bowl over the last couple of years, you struggle with is rotational control.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is obviously controlling your rotation on how it comes off your hand. With urethane, you can definitely get away with the amount of rotation you create because the ball already likes to be front to back. You're putting axis rotation on the ball that's not gonna really take off too much, so you don't see it as bad. Now, if I was to say, I want you to try to strike where this ball was, but I want you to throw a reactive.
Ooh, same spot?
Same spot.
Ooh, bad.
Okay, that was perfect. The reason I say that is it showed us exactly what I'm about to talk about right now. You threw that ball. Didn't even have a chance at the head pin, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't have a chance. You create a lot of rotation naturally. Now, this is a product of 1, being a two-hander, and 2, just watching the ball go left to right, you know, bowling on how shots are burnt up. Being two-handed, you instantly have rev rate. It's a lot easier to hook the ball versus going up the boards, and that's why you see a lot of two-handers, especially on house shots, really, they can get in and wheel the ball. Now, the problem with that is if you do need to play up the boards, it's a lot harder to because your ball is looking at lane 1, but the pins are down this way. We're gonna work on your rotational control, and by the end of this, you should be able to play on top of your urethane, or where urethane is, you should be able to play your Ion Max right on top of it. Now, you're gonna have to throw it differently, but that's the whole point, to build your bag, right? So we're gonna start talking about rotational control. What I want you to do, line up exactly how you just were, and I'm only gonna do one fundamental difference to you. Go ahead and get set up.
Same ball or?
Yeah, Ion. Now, what I want you to feel like, go ahead and get set up. What I want you to feel like, this finger here is gonna be pointed forward, and this finger here, wherever your target is, whatever you have your eye on, that finger is gonna hit that target. If your nose, if I'm looking at you and your nose is my target, I'm not gonna be hitting it with this finger. We're gonna be hitting it with a ring finger. What this will do is it's a way to get up the back of the ball, and it's a lot easier to teach it because I'm not telling you get up the back of it, because that's all relative. Up the back for you could be different than is for me. I'm gonna give you something to actually focus on to do this. We're gonna use a ring finger and hit our target. Nothing else is changing, ring finger to target, that's it. Much better. So you overemphasize that, which is perfect. And you saw a massive change in your ball roll.
Yeah.
That was rolling much more forward than your previous shot, which went sailing left. All right, let's do that again, but keep it on the wood part of the lane. Better. So you did throw it right. You did have more rotation than that previous shot, but you had a hell of a lot less than you did with the one that flew across the lane.
Yeah.
Without changing anything, besides one thing, what finger is pointed at the target, we can make that ball set up towards the pocket rather than running away Brooklyn. If we can use rotation to our advantage by changing it less or more, and you have 6 bowling balls, but let's just say you have 3 rotation. Well, you got 18 different ball shapes you can create. It's a lot easier than going buying 18 bowling balls, right? This will definitely help you with that, especially playing up the lane. Now, when you get deep where you're more comfortable, your rotation comes into play because that's just the way you grew up, and that's just what's more natural for you, which is okay. You just are really good with one part of your bag, and we just gotta work on the other. So let's go ahead and try to do that again. Ring finger at the target, that's it.
Oh my God.
It's something new.
Angle.
Yeah, oh yeah, your launch angles are just so open, it's crazy. And then your common miss is usually that anyways.
Yeah.
So it's okay. I know you're working on something new. Let's go ahead, keep our eye on the target, and all we're gonna think about is our finger going at that target. Better, much, much better. Now we can see a smoother type of ball motion. Before, when you got around it, the ball just took off.
Yeah.
Now it's creating a smoother front to back type of shape. I want you to use this as well to help play more up the boards. I feel like the biggest problem you struggle with is maybe a fresh that you can't open the lane up.
Yeah.
If the lane's not open, you're SOL to a point, right? I would say on this particular pattern, yeah, for sure. But now we can see, we're staying in the same part of the lane. We've thrown urethane, and now we've thrown reactive, and we both struck. Well, it created great ball shape. Now you can pick and choose. Now you don't have to just throw urethane up the boards because that's the only thing that actually rolled forward for you because of your rotation. Now you can actually take your ion or whatever other bowling balls you have, the some of the Sen, whatever the case may be, and be able to play up the boards more. Now you're not just locked out of basically, I have to use urethane right at third arrow, and then when I get left to third arrow, I'm doing better. So now you can basically play all your bowling balls across the lane if we can work on your rotational control, all right?
Yeah.
More about this particular pattern. We've been bowling on it for a little while now. Urethane, if you get it right, it's gone. That ball, if you got it right, now obviously not the gutter, but if you get it right, it definitely comes back.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to choose the smoother of the two options, typically, what I like to go with. Most of the time it's urethane.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, the Ion Max is super slow, super rolly, but still reactive, right? Let's go ahead. Now I want you to do the same thing, use your ring finger with urethane, and I want you to pay attention to that ball reaction.
That's good pair.
All right, all right. Now before, with your other rotation, that might have made it back.
Yeah.
Right? What this will do too with urethane is it allows you to play even more square to the target. Now what I want you to do is, what are you aiming at the arrows roughly?
I'm trying to go for like 9 and 10.
9 and 10, okay.
Second arrow.
I want you to move your feet 3 boards right and keep the same target.
Up the board?
More up the boards.
Oh.
Just missed, no big deal.
Tugged it a little.
What I wanted you to get from this, what we're doing on here, is being able to play more of the lane. Chris Vi is a sick human being. The dude has 550 rev rate, and he comes up the back of it on every shot, no matter where he's at. And if you ever look at his ball roll, he rarely ever actually gets around it. Like, he creates such great forward ball roll that the pocket is always in play. So if you want to emulate anybody or their ball roll, definitely look at Chris Vi. I mean, the guy, like I said, he rolls the ball extremely well. As far as a comparison, definitely look at that. As far as the lane goes, right now, it looks like we definitely don't have, like the urethane looks okay, but we don't have right. You pulled that one in, we definitely don't have hold. That ball's still hooked too early. I want you to go back to your ion, keep the same move. You're gonna move those 3 boards right.
Yeah.
And you're gonna try to play up the boards using a very up the back or ring finger type of relief. Yeah, so you got around it. See it?
I saw.
Yep, now you got something to work on. We know you can get in and wheel it, but I actually want to see less. I want to see you go up the boards more. I want to see that ball rolling forward at the pocket, keeping it in play. We all love to see that ball go left to right and smash, right?
Yeah.
But we all don't. But we don't like a strike, split, fair, split, split, because it might look good if we get it right, but it's so hard to. We're gonna play up the boards more, see that friction, more of a front to back shape. It should definitely help you. As far as questions go, is there anything you want to learn more about this pattern or physical stuff that you wanted to go over? Cover most of it.
More of being up the ball and more up the board. So.
Yeah, and when I teach the rotation part, basically what I try to do is I try to keep it simple. If you want to come up the back of the ball, you need to point your ring finger to the target. If you want to come around the side of the ball more, you're going to point your pointer finger towards the target. This is pretty good for most bowlers. Now, obviously suitcasers or something like that, it's harder, but especially for two-handers, this can definitely help. And that's the thing, bowling's all relative, perception, reality. When I say up the back of it, that could mean something different for you. The way I teach this is a physical point on your body to match up with what you're doing on the lane. So playing around with it. In my brain, this is the way I do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I ever have to use 6, there's a problem, right? That's literally getting around of it so much that this part of my hand is forward. If we get like this and we get that ring finger point more forward, we can control it. Now, as the lane breaks down, we might go to a 2 or a 3 or 4, depending on what we do. I rarely ever go really 3, 4, 5, more specifically 4, 5, if I'm right a third arrow. I never need that much rotation. If you're ever bowling and you have inconsistent ball motion, really pay attention to your axis rotation. We've already seen that it can go runaway Brooklyn or it can crush pocket just by changing it, right?
Yeah.
Work on that more and just get more comfortable playing up the boards. And I think that, sky's the limit, I think. You're gonna be able to do a lot of stuff. College, again, you're gonna be looking to do that. Now in college, you play a lot of left to right because there's so many hybrid players and stuff. You already know how to do that. You don't want to be that guy who can't get put in before game 3, where if it's fresh, there's guys I bowled with in college that just never saw, they didn't even warm up in the mornings because the way they threw the ball was so optimal for late game that's the only time they got put in. We want to bowl all the time. So we need to understand how to play the entire lane, right? So that was a breakdown of 39-foot pattern. We didn't go into the pattern too much. We really just worked on Cristian's axis rotation and understanding of the benefits of playing up the lane. If you guys want more further breakdown on these types of patterns or other sport patterns, please leave them in the comments. But I want to say thank you very much for coming out, being on video. You definitely see more of this guy in the future. He's gonna be here in Alaska for another year, and then he'll be off to college. But with that said, again, I appreciate you coming by. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you like this video, smash that like button. We're on a road to 20,000 subs. We can definitely get there with your guys' help. With that said, my name's Jayson Robarge. We'll rev it up bowling. Much love, peace.